What is up, gamers? Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're doing well. I'm bringing you yet another dev blog update. This comes from their website directly, and it's again going to be coming from David Kim himself, and sharing more of his thoughts on the state of the game, as you can see here. And so before we get into this, I just want to let you guys know I have plenty of other videos going over some of the other news and updates that they've posted, some different dev blogs and things of that nature. So please feel free to check those out. I'll leave a link to that right up here. Also, if you'd like to take a look at this for yourself as well, please, again, feel free to do that. I'll leave a link to that up here, and then it should be in the description below as well if you want to check this out. Anyways, let's jump into this and see what he has to say, and I'll just share my thoughts and opinions as we go along here. So this was posted on July 25th. And he says, first, we wanted to say thank you, everyone, for playing in our first closed beta. We've learned a lot through playtesting, feedback, discussions, etc., and wanted to provide some of our current thoughts on various closed beta topics. Also, thank you so much for so much more feedback coming in this week. We are still in the process of going over them, and as we try and make decisions, we will try our best to keep you guys updated in our progress going forward. And I absolutely love this. They, I think, are doing a great job of communicating with their community and keeping us all in on the loop and asking for constant feedback and constantly giving us, updates based on the feedback we're giving them. And so I am super happy about that. I love to see developers who are listening so carefully and closely to their community, and I just love to see all that interaction going back and forth. I think that is going to help make for the best possible game for everybody. I think we all definitely would agree that we want this game to be hopefully as good as it can be and successful as it can be too. And so I think this is all just one big piece of the puzzle for them, and one big piece of the overall broader picture. And so definitely love to see that, and I definitely hope this continues throughout the game's entire lifespan. Unit changes from alpha to beta. The biggest changes was with unit counters. During alpha, the meta was always very stale and one deck focused due to unit rolls counters not being clear enough. This is something we really wanted to try tackling quite hard for the beta, both on the ladder across various skill levels and the tournaments that happened over the past weekend. We look to be in the right direction, so we will be making moves to refine this new direction that we've found during alpha and proven out in the beta going forward. I definitely agree with this. I think unit counters is very fun to the overall strategy of the game, and so there's just that little bit of balance in making the unit counters very strong against what they're supposed to counter, but at the same time, you don't want them to be so overpowered, obviously, that nothing can stand up against them. Or you don't want like one Swift Shocker being able to take on an entire army of, let's say 100 Scorpions or something. Just to give you a ridiculous example. So I definitely think that's something they have a good grasp on, and so I don't think we have anything to worry about there. But I definitely like the direction that they're going with this. So I think that's going to be good going forward for the game. Unit changes going forward. We will be tuning, iterating based upon how the unit testing went in the beta. For example, King Crabs looks to need some nerfs, but we did like the role change with the movement speed increase, so we are looking towards nerfing their health to maintain this new role it has that really differentiates this unit compared to other tanky units such as the Crusader or Mammoth. This is another great point, I think. They are going to do a good job overall of balancing all the units. Not too worried there, and hopefully they can keep the patches and balance updates frequent enough to keep the game feeling fresh, but also keep it feeling like they're correcting any outliers or anything like that, anything that might be overperforming or underperforming. And to me, the biggest potential issue or problem is when some units might be too strong for how difficult they might be to use, or too weak for how difficult they are. So for instance, I feel like the mortars might be a little too easy to use, and I feel like they might have been a little bit too strong for how easy they are to use. So to me, I think that would be like the bigger, slightly bigger concern at least. I, for one, definitely had a ton of fun with the King Crabs, and even going up against them I thought was pretty fun, even though I do think towards the end of the closed beta test, they were slightly overtuned. So I think a little bit of a nerf for them is fine. I just kind of hope that they also look at the pathing and whatnot for them. There were just a few times here and there where I would have a little bit of pathing issues with them, and it might have just been a skill issue on my part, but I think that's worth looking into at least, more so mostly for the bigger, bulkier units that are melee as well. So I had personally a little bit of trouble using those sometimes in certain situations, but overall I don't think it's too big of a deal. So at a high level, one interesting realization we've had is, do defensive units really have to be undertuned? we had the turrets under-tuned because we feared that stalemates will cause for boring matches. But after leaning more into having very distinct roles that can be countered with other options, we're now in the headspace of what if we make turrets and heavy turrets good versus specific units, and get countered by specific other units? This is one of the things we'll be exploring internally going forward. Yeah, I really like this idea as well. Yeah, turrets, I think, were very underpowered during the closed beta, and something I stayed away from. I could definitely see a place for the turrets. I think they would be fun pairing them up with another very aggressive unit. So you have an aggressive option and a defensive option, and I think that would be an interesting play style. And so, like they're saying here, I think the only minor concern you want to be careful to stay away from would be games becoming too defensive and getting into too many stalemates and whatnot. I think that is something that they'll try to avoid. So I'm not worried about that, but that would be the only minor concern there. But other than that, I think this is a great idea for them to lean into and test out. So that'll be cool to see what they come up with there. And then we'll be digging through and discussing so many things that came up on this front, and expect various iterations on units before the next phase of the closed beta. That's cool. So I'm excited to see what they come up with, and as always, of course, I'm excited for the next beta already. So can't wait for that to come out. 2v2 and 1v1 modes. This was our first time testing 2v2 with the public, and interestingly enough, what we've been seeing as the differences between the two modes did in fact turn out to be similar in the beta. One question that came up for us during this first beta test was what happens if we push 2v2 a bit harder on new players? For example, would that help with players easing into our game? That's an interesting idea too. That I think is worth testing out and trying, I'm sure. But I think it might just depend on the person playing the game. I think some people just might prefer that solo experience, while for some people I think going the 2v2 route, at least to start with, I think could be very beneficial. So I think it would just kind of depend on the person playing, but I think that's worth consideration at the least. So I for one, just didn't get around to doing the 2v2, but it's something that I really want to try, and so I think the next time I get into the next closed beta, that's something that I'm definitely going to want to try out. So I'm excited for some 2v2s, and can't wait to see how that plays. So another thing that came up often was even pro players commenting on cross-region play latency being quite amazing for an RTS game. If anyone's curious on details, Michael Skakel, I hope I'm saying that right, can explain more in depth. He's told me many times, but I just don't understand engineering tech. But more importantly, we did wonder in future beta tests if we should try in at least once just having one region that all players connect to in order to greatly improve matchmaking quality. We don't need to decide this today, but it's an option we can explore going forward. Yeah, I hesitate a little bit on this one. I'm always fine to try things. If this is something that I wanted to test out and try, I'd be more than happy to do that. But I hesitate only because of some experiences that I've had with other games, and where latency can play a pretty big factor potentially in the competitive integrity of the game. And so it sounds like, and I don't know this personally from my experience playing Battle Aces, I can't remember having any latency issues, and so it sounds like most people did not have any latency issues, which is a good thing, and hopefully that is true across the board. But I would hate for that to be even a minor issue every once in a while. I know in a lot of other games there can be a lot of backlash against developers and whatnot when there's any kind of latency issues. So if that's not a problem, then that's great. But if there's any potential for that, then I'd be a little bit concerned. But again, I'm definitely more than willing to test this out and see how it plays. So I definitely did not have any issues that I can remember playing the beta of Battle Aces. So maybe this is a good point. Maybe this would actually work for Battle Aces. So that would be very cool, I think. Unit tooltips. This is an area that we want to try to do much better. To us, the unit descriptions looked clear, but learned that this wasn't the case during beta. The stats pips also didn't do us favors. They were intended to be more fun, for fun, than be informative, but many beta players were confused due to them. We are already looking to do a rework for this. It's still early stages, but we wanted to at least give you the pitch to see if we can get some more thoughts on our current line of thought. So I think this is a good direction for them to go in. I kind of like these stat pips, initially at least, and I think they can be good for newer players to get a just quick understanding, or general understanding at least, what they might be good at or what they're not quite as good at. And so I think that's fine initially for people to take a quick look at something like that and kind of get a general idea. But then I think there should be a tab or something to get a deeper look at the actual stats. I think this would be important for most players as they're trying to learn the game and as they get more into it, into the strategy of the game, to have something available where they can see the actual stats and numbers of each unit. I understand this could be a little off-putting to some newer players, and so I don't think you would want to make this information jump out at them or anything like that, and you wouldn't want this to be at the forefront of the game, to be the first thing that they see. I think when you throw too much information at a newer player, it's going to kind of just turn them off from the game. They're not going to be able to digest it all. So anyways, with that said, let's take a look at what they're thinking about here, see what they're cooking here. And so they say, here's the pitch. Set up a general unit traits or unit labels. Small, big, splash, air. Small units would be units such as all tier 1 units, assault bot or advanced bot. Splash units are units that deal splash damage, and air units are units that fly. Big units would be units that visually look the biggest in the game, such as Heavy Ballista, Crusader, Catbus, Kraken, Bulwark, King Crab, Mammoth, etc. Set up a simple rule set, for example. Big counters splash, counters small. E.g., if I lose to a unit marked splash, I can look to add a unit that is big. Anti-big counters big. Anti-air counters air. These last two are pretty straightforward. If I lose to air or big, just look for anti-big or anti-air. And here are some examples of what different units' tooltips might look like. Shocker. Unit type ground. Attacks ground. Label splash counters small, countered by big. And then destroyer. I won't go over all these examples here, but you can see the destroyer, all their labels there, the assault bot, all the labels there. So, and then the one last thought is maybe we can list out the specific units that each of the units counters and gets countered by as icons. So I think this would also be a great idea here. I think that's a good direction for them to go in, and this would help, hopefully simplify things for newer players, and hopefully give everybody a pretty good idea of what each of the units are capable of, what they're good against and weak against, and all that. However, the only minor issue I can see here then is if something like the shockers counter the assault bots, and the assault bots counter destroyers, how would a matchup of destroyers work against a matchup of shockers? Technically, the shockers don't counter the destroyer, and technically the destroyer doesn't counter the shocker. So is that supposed to be a relatively pretty even matchup then, since neither one of them is really countering the other? And I think that could be perhaps just a little bit confusing maybe for some newer players. And then the other potentially very, very minor issue for newer players would be they think the shocker is supposed to counter the assault bot, and so their opponent has 50 assault bots, and so they make one shocker to try to go up against those 50 assault bots, and they end up getting wrecked and lose the game. And then they might be a little frustrated thinking, oh well, the shocker is supposed to counter that, right? And so it's something I expect most people would learn from very quickly, and so it wouldn't be too big of a deal. But I think maybe it's something worth thinking about or considering. So overall, for the most part, though, I think this is a great idea and direction for them to be going in. So I like all of that. Ranking system. Minus an exploit we've located, which we have plans to fix going forward. The general progression looks to be working well, and players' journey towards top ace looks to be on the right track as well. Yeah, this is something I mostly agree with as well. I liked their ranking system. Again, the only minor suggestion that I would have for them here that I've discussed before is that I think it would be nice, especially if they're planning on doing like a season-based system for their ranking system, where every season the ranks reset or something like that. Perhaps at least allow the higher ranked players to get back to their rank a little bit quicker, assuming that they're still playing very well or at the top of their game. Have some kind of like boosting system, or maybe boosting is the wrong word, but some system in place so that if you're winning 10 to 20 games in a row or something because you're an iron when you were previously in top A's, well, maybe we should have a system in place to help get them out of iron a little bit quicker. And I think that would kind of help overall as well, because you don't want top ace players just steamrolling people in iron for too long either. So you want them to move out of those lower ranks as quickly as possible, I think. So just a minor suggestion, but overall I like their ranking system. New user experience. We have learned quite a bit from this experience. So reading this slightly confusing to me. I'm going to read this the way I think it's supposed to be written, so I apologize if I'm getting this wrong, but I'm going to read this as first, we were able to check that the no focus fire by default is indeed the way to go compared to our previous tests with different versions. I apologize if I'm getting that wrong or anything. I feel like that's the way this was supposed to be written. So please, if anybody knows, correct me if I'm wrong. But that's the way I believe that's supposed to be written. So I think that's just a little bit of a typo there. No big deal either way, but let's move on. But we do wonder if we can improve this for both RTS players using it as default, as well as players new to RTS. We are still actively discussing this, so we'll share more once we start testing something solid. I think this is great. I think they are strongly considering the new player experience, which I think is extremely important for this game and most games to think about and consider. I know a lot of hardcore players like to think that the games should only be made with them in mind, and all the new players should just get good at the game if they want to play, but that is actually just not very healthy for the game overall from what I've seen. Games, from what I've seen, need to have a very friendly experience for newer players, and generally most games will end up dying eventually if they don't have that experience in place and in mind. So I'm very glad that they are considering this and working on this, and I'm glad that this is one of their main focuses, as I think it should be. So second, we were able to learn the potential gaps that may exist that we'd like to look further into, such as how to smooth out the game-to-game experience, as well as rewards tuning to get players started with unit exploration. This is another thing I'm very glad they're looking into, especially with the reward tuning. The war credit system that they had was a little bit too slow, in my opinion, and so I'm glad this is something that they're looking at and seeing what they might be able to do to improve upon that. So that'll be cool, I think, going forward. Ground anti-air unit targeting. We are looking to test a different version of this very soon. We're already in the process of making the change. How it will work is, instead of chasing down air units when they run away, they will prioritize ground units that are a threat to them if enemy air units move out of their firing range. And when air units enter again, they will target them again. I'm definitely a fan of when they're able to make things a little bit easier to play and make things more intuitive and kind of smooth out the experience overall. It sounds like that's what they're doing, what they're working on, so I think that'll be a great change. Automated control groups. We have tested and decided to put in this feature, so we're excited to test it out in the next closed beta test. It will be an option players can turn on. Everything you build will automatically go into control group 1. So you only have to go back and grab the units that won't be a part of your main control group to assign them manually. Ooh, I like the sound of this. Nice. I gotta applaud them for this one. This sounds awesome. Let's get into some more of the details here on this. Let us give an example to show what we mean. Say the situation is I'm using scorpions and swift shockers, and I want to split off a very small group of scorpions and swift shockers for harassment. Then every scorpion and swift shocker automatically gets assigned to one. This is completely automated, and I never have to manually set my control groups for my main army. Okay, I like this. I manually just pick out the small group of scorpions and swift shockers I want in 2 to assign them there. This will naturally remove them from 1 because this is just how our game works. Each unit can only be a part of 1 control group. Okay, I like that. I use 2 to harass, continue using 1 for main army. So we've simplified from having to control group every additional unit being built if I want to control more than 1 group to just needing to set control groups for side armies only. We'd like to continue testing this internally while we wait for the next time players can play and see where this goes. Ooh, okay. I super duper love this idea. 2 thumbs up for me on that one. This sounds great. I had a tough time using the control groups during the first closed beta. I am by no means one of the top players in this game, and so things like micro and control groups and things of that nature, I tend to struggle with all of that a little bit. So I like to hear that they're trying different things, and this sounds like a pretty awesome solution to me. This sounds very simple and intuitive to me. And I think this is something I could get used to. I think I could make this work. The only other little thing I might add here is that I think it might be cool to see a little something on your HUD somewhere or something, indicating what groups you have assigned right now, what units might be in there. Maybe that would cause too much clutter or something. So I'm not saying that's the best thing necessarily, but I think that would also be worth considering possibly, and seeing if something like that would work. But otherwise, I love this addition here. I can't wait to try that out. I think this might help me kind of elevate my game to the next level here. So I think this might actually be huge for me. And finally, they say, and please look forward to some fun beta stats info coming soon from Tian Dean. I hope I'm not getting that horribly wrong. But I am a stats guy, so I would love to see some fun beta stats info. So I can't wait to see what they have in store for us there. I can't wait to see that soon. So, and then finally, thank you again for your help and support through our game announcement and our first closed beta. We will try our best to keep you updated on next steps as they get confirmed, and we hope to see you in the next phase of our closed beta test. Thanks. And wow, I just gotta say, wow, what another awesome update. And definitely thank you to the devs for being so open with us and for communicating so much. I, for one, appreciate that, and I think most of us in the community appreciate that. And I think this is going to help everybody to get the best game we can hope for. I think that's awesome, and I am super excited for this game, I think, as you can tell, and can't wait for the next closed beta. Again, if you'd like to check this out for yourself, the link should be in the description below, so feel free to go take a look at it for yourself. And I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions as well on all of this. So if you have anything that you would like to share, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to take a look at that. Please stay tuned to my channel. I plan to give you guys updates anytime I see or get any news and information about the game. I will be trying to keep you guys in the loop and updated as soon as possible. And as soon as they release the information and the dates for the next closed beta and whatnot, I'll definitely keep you guys posted on that and let you guys know as soon as I can. Anyways, I think that's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'd very much appreciate that. I'll see you guys again soon in the next one.